lunch and learn, and people enjoyed the opportunity to actually sit down and eat lunch, even though they were working on some of those days. So again, thank you for joining us. Our goal during these sessions is to make them 30 minutes or fewer and get you a quick shot of information. This morning at the 9 o'clock, I think we actually finished in about 17 or 18 minutes. So you may actually end up with a few extra free minutes in your schedule today. Please use chat today for any questions that you have about the directories as we're moving through them. And know that info@mshsl.org is your best place to send questions that you have, anything website related. There are a number of us, the tag team, getting through the questions in there. And generally you get questions answered much more quickly than if you email any one of us directly. Several from our staff sitting in today also. Amy Ince and Amanda Johnson will probably be the ones jumping into chat if you have some questions and want that. And know that they're also often the ones that are answering out of that info email box. So thank you to them for all the support that they provide. Topic today is talking about the directories. And just want to once again draw your attention to the Getting Started guide that continues to have the most current information and tutorials and how-tos and small bits of information. Up in the upper right-hand corner, there's a link called Getting Started Videos. If you were not able to join us earlier this week when we talked about medical personnel and head coaching certification and arbiter, the video from that has been posted there. And we will again post today's video in that same spot later today. So if you need to review something or if you want to share it with others. There's also a new tab up here that's called Directories, which is where you can learn more about the directories that we're talking about today. So the pieces that I talk through and share, they are also in written form on this page. So I clicked on this Directories, which brought me to this page that talks about the directories and the how-tos for it. So again, here are your helps and supports as we work through this. Just looking at this page a little bit, just a reminder that the directories that you're going to see today are available only to you as a logged in member of a Minnesota State High School League school. As we built the new website, we did a lot of work thinking about protecting people's information and only giving those who have a need to know basis that information. So you're going to see information here for coaches, ADs, etc., that the public doesn't have access to in as easy as a way. And that's intentionally done to provide you easy access, but to give the public only the information that they need to know. So on this page, there are two links here that actually lead to full page documents. So there's one document that's called Getting Started with the School Directory. And that is a document that looks like this, that kind of can walk you through that school directory as you learn how to use it, and then learn how to, what I would say, clean up anything in there that doesn't feel quite right. The second link is Getting Started with the Coach Directory. And that also is a separate one-page document that leads you to information just about that coach directory. Again, knowing that some of you live in a world where it's easier to print something and have it sitting next to you as you learn something new. So that's really why these were designed this way, to almost give you a printable version of that. There's also information here about what's in these directories and where that information comes from. So some of this repeated here, but also in what I'd call a printable version up here. So let's take a few minutes, first of all, and talk about the school directory. So the school directory is a directory of mostly school folks. It is a directory of superintendents, principals, activities directors, assistant activities directors, activities administrative assistants, MSHSL staff, and board members. Coming and being built into there will also be region secretaries and tournament managers, site managers for tournaments. So it's a smaller directory. If you think of it, it's about 6 or 7 people per school district in Minnesota. Down here shares where that information is pulled from. So if you see something in your directory that's not correct, this will help you troubleshoot where did that information get entered incorrectly. One of the downsides we had was as we were building this and people were creating their accounts, they didn't necessarily see how that information was going to display out to the public. So sometimes we don't take quite as much care or we don't capitalize something correctly. And then all of a sudden when it shows on a public side, we're saying, oh gee, I wish I would have fixed that a little bit better. So the school directory, I'm on my MSHSL staff dashboard, but on your AD dashboard over on the right-hand side, you have a button that's called School Directory. And again, this is a button that those logged in members have. So that's our staff, that's you and the people in your office, that's coaches, that'll be region secretaries and those folks. So the school directory searches these positions of people. It has a search by name and a search by school at this point. I'm looking to add a few more filters in here around things like administrative regions and other pieces. And again, remember, this is those administrative one person per school type levels. So currently my list right now has all everyone in it that would be in that list. If I wanted to find, for example, only a list of Minnesota activities directors, I could select just that filter and apply. And I've now filtered down to just ADs in Minnesota. If I know that I want to find just the AD at Brainerd High School, and I hit apply, because I've said I want the AD and the school, I get that AD's information. Currently, people may show more than once in the directory if they have multiple roles. So for example, Charlie Campbell, the Brainerd AD, he is an activities director, a site manager, and a tournament manager. So currently he is showing in there 3 times, all the same information about him. And that's one of the small tweaks that we're still working to get figured out. I would suggest that for you in your school, would ask that you go in and search for your school and check the information that shows up under your school. Again, for most of you, this will be at least an AD, a principal, and a superintendent. We kind of believe that every school has those 3 roles. From there, it's going to grow depending on the size of your school and the roles. You may also have your administrative assistant in here. You may have an assistant activities director, whatever those roles might be. But the goal is to get that list for your school, what I would say, cleaned up. We're going to begin shortly cleaning up some of our email distribution lists, and we're going to be pulling directly out of here. So the updates that we send out, we're going to start pulling that list directly out of here to send to ADs, to send to assistant ADs, to send to AD assistants when we email superintendents or principals. So we'd look to you to make sure that you have the right contacts and the right people in here. If you find out that you have information that's inaccurate or not complete, your directions are here for how to go in and fix those things. A longer version of those directions are on that 1-page document to help you go in and support and fix any of those pieces. And again, when you try to fix and you get stuck or are just at your wit's end, we would say, info@mshsl.org, and we will help you out to make sure that that information gets accurate in there. So again, this, I believe, is going to be a quick way. Some of you have said it's frustrating because I have to click into each page on the public side and 3 clicks in to find it. This information is here only for you to use as this quick of a way. Notice that we've also asked for personal phone numbers from ADs. Often this becomes their cell number, and we hope that you feel comfortable adding that, knowing who is seeing that information. So fellow ADs, our office, region secretaries, they often need to reach you. Your job definitely goes beyond that 8 to 4 or 9 to 5 type job. So having access to that personal phone number for those logged in users, they always appreciate having that in there. So again, school, searching by school, searching by position. If you just know the person's name and you're trying to figure out what school they're at, you can also come in and search by name and find that person in that area. The second directory is much bigger than that one would be. The school directory, again, is about 3 to 6 to 7 people per school. The coach directory starts to pull in all of the coaches who have registered on the website. So the list here for fall sports should be pretty good and complete, because all of our fall sports are required to do their learning before they start to do their coaching. So if we go in and search and our coaches aren't in here, that means that your coaches aren't doing what they need to do to be coaching safely and securely. If we go in here and search for winter sports, it's just not as complete. Our ADs and coaches have not yet started to get those winter sports athletes in on, or coaches in on a regular basis. So again, if I sat and scrolled through this list, I'd be scrolling for an awful long time and going over an awful lot of pages, because this is all of those coaches. So usually this is going to be filtered. But this is going to allow me to do things like say, I want to find all of the varsity head coaches for football. So I've taken my filter and narrowed it down as much as varsity coaches and football, and apply. I'm now seeing varsity football coaches. And again, this should be any football program across Minnesota that has a varsity football program and their coach's name. I may want to filter that down even more. So I think of some of you who are trying to reschedule games and you're looking for ones within your class. So if I take that down and say, I want just the football 2A schools, my list is going to get shorter and include just those 2A schools. And if I want just those that are in the sections near me, again, I can take that and look for varsity football coaches in 3A, and my list now has gotten much shorter. It's down to about 8 or 12 here as I count and look through it. So using this to filter down, if you're not finding the results you want, likely it's a filtering piece and you got to think a little bit more about, so what did I really ask for in that? You can also come in and search for your school's coaches. So if I say I want to see all of the coaches at Andover High School, the only filter I've set right now is Andover. So this will now let me go in and say, are my coaches listed correctly? Your coaches also have access to this, so they can check themselves, you can check themselves, etc. Notice again, coaches are listed twice currently for each role they have. So Connie at Andover coaches both softball and volleyball. She has 2 listings currently. Getting that cleaned up will start to make this list a little shorter. Even a quicker way to go in and check this might be to just say, I want to see at my school just my girls' tennis coaches, and making sure that those are in there and the correct information is in there for them. And again, your coaches also have these filters on their coaches dashboard, so they too can double check to make sure that their information is in there and is accurate. Again, on this sheet starts to talk through, so if something isn't right, where is that information and where does that live? The most common error that we've seen is coaches who entered just their first name into their directory instead of their last name. So hoping we don't have Aaron on here as we talk about him a little bit, but Aaron, who's the volleyball girls assistant coach in Buffalo Lake Hector, he did not enter his last name into his directory. Coaches, to fix them, part of them is theirs, part of it is yours. Just like in any account that we have in our real world, our information belongs to us. So a coach needs to change their name. A coach needs to change their phone number. A coach needs to change their address. They own that information. You own the assignment that they have. So Aaron's assignment is coaching in Buffalo Lake Hector. These links are also live. So once you get into this, if it's ever helpful to email and it's hooked up to your email, or right clicking will let you copy that email address. This will take me to that school page, or this will take me to that team page. So again, as we start to get those schedules and rosters, when those become available out on those team pages, I could now quickly come into Aaron's name and get out to his girls volleyball page and see that schedule once those are there and available. I'm looking at the comment in the chat about names being arranged alphabetically. So this is an interesting one that I think starts to show some of our ages. In modern day, in 2020, names get alphabetized by first names. If you look in the contacts apps in your phones and things, generally they get alphabetized by default by first name, which again, just throws me. To me, they should be last name. So that's something we're working on with them, because I think for most of us in most of our worlds, we think alphabetical by last name, not by first name. Unfortunately, is one of those things that in 2020, more and more people are thinking about that by first name instead of last name. So yes, I think it's Cheryl. I see that comment, and that is one of the pieces here that we're working toward. So again, this is a tool that I think will start to solve some of those comments we've heard about you using the public-facing website. The public-facing website's meant for the public who wants to see just your volleyball information or just your football information, not necessarily everything about your school in one fell swoop. But when you are working with other schools in your roles as AD and people in your AD's office, this becomes something more that they need to see. So with that, that is all we have today. We are done in 19 minutes. Would love any feedback. If people have comments or questions, very happy to take those. If not, have a great day and thanks for your time today.